Stay with me for the full update because what I'm about to explain could change how thousands of people think about the Iraqi dinar overnight. Right now, major international banks appear to be lining up behind a very narrow operational window that points to immediate action, and the chatter across the market is louder than it has been in years. In plain terms, if the signals are accurate, notifications could arrive early next week and exchanges would need to begin before a critical year-end deadline. That possibility matters because it shifts this story from long-running rumor into something that looks operational and time-sensitive. I'll walk you step by step through what that alignment between big banks actually means, what to expect when notifications are released, how exchanges are likely to be scheduled, and most importantly, how ordinary holders should prepare themselves so they don't miss important deadlines or fall prey to misinformation. This report is built to keep you calm, informed, and ready to act if official notices go out. Stick around, I'll also cover realistic scenarios, risks, and practical paperwork tips so you know exactly what to do and what to watch for in the coming days. To get everyone on the same page, let's start with a clear, easy picture. When people talk about a revaluation or RV of the Iraqi dinar, they mean a formal change in how that currency is valued against other currencies and sometimes how it is handled in banking systems. Over the years, talk about an RV has taken many shapes, from casual speculation on message boards to carefully worded briefings from people who claim inside access to banking operations. Right now, conversation has shifted because multiple high-level operational signals, not just wishful thinking, are being reported by actors across several financial corridors. Those signals include scheduled back-end testing, secure link or safe link readiness, internal ledger movement, staff training, and communications being queued for release. When institutions that play central roles in clearing and distribution coordinate their internal timelines, what was previously hypothetical can quickly become executable. That does not mean every rumor will become a reality, but it does mean the mechanics needed for an operational rollout appear to be in place if authorities give the final go-ahead. Understanding these mechanics helps you separate hopeful fantasy from practical steps to prepare. Why does alignment among major banks matter so much? Think of a complex global operation that involves multiple jurisdictions, treasury departments, and settlement systems. For a currency event to go from private authorization to public execution, the banks that move money and schedule appointments need to be synced. When international clearing institutions and domestic clearing houses both show readiness, it reduces the chance of technical mismatch, failed communications, or settlement errors that can derail any exchange process. Alignment also means that liquidity planning, compliance checks, and security workflows have been coordinated across more than one organization. That coordination is not casual. It requires test runs, confirmation of messaging pipelines, and legal checklists that cross borders. In short, if the banks are truly aligned, they are not improvising, they are executing a planned sequence. For holders, this reduces some technical risk but raises practical pressure. Once notifications are issued, appointments and exchanges can move fast, and paperwork becomes essential. Knowing that banks are aligned gives a clearer picture of how the weeks ahead might unfold. Let's break down the timeline that many in the community are discussing and why Monday and Tuesday keep coming up in reports. In many banking operations, issuing a notification early in the business week gives institutions full access to staff, executives, and technical support. If notifications went out on a Monday or Tuesday, banks would have the rest of the week to begin scheduling appointments, validating documentation, and opening initial seams for the public to access exchange slots. Those early week notifications also allow for a deliberate two-step method. First, a secure notification and appointment scheduling process that lets people prepare. Second, physical exchanges at branches and redemption centers scheduled after the holiday period. The advantage of this sequencing is obvious. It reduces chaos, gives participants time to organize required documents, and prevents overwhelming bank branches during peak holiday staffing limitations. It's also consistent with how large, sensitive rollouts are managed elsewhere: notifications first, execution second. If this is the verified plan, then we are not talking about instant cash outs for everyone on day one. We are talking about a controlled, phased process designed to handle large volumes securely. Now, let's talk about what notification actually looks like and what it will mean when it arrives. A notification is typically a secure message that tells eligible participants that they may now come forward to schedule an exchange appointment. In recent operational models, those messages are accompanied by appointment scheduling links or telephone hotlines. The message will likely outline step-by-step documentation requirements, instructions for scheduling, and possible appointment windows. Importantly, a notification is not an immediate guarantee of a same-day cash exchange. Rather, it is the official green light to begin the appointment scheduling process. For many people, receiving a notification will be a highly emotional moment. It will feel like confirmation that the wait is over. But functionally, it begins the administrative part of the process. If you receive a notification, do not act impulsively. Read the instructions carefully, verify the legitimacy of any phone numbers or links through official bank channels, and prepare your documentation as described in the message. You'll hear the term Tier 4B or Internet Group used frequently. That refers to a classification used by some operators to sequence notifications. Tier groupings often determine who is notified and when. Being a part of the later tiers usually means you are near the end of the rollout list but still included in the public phase. The two-step approach I mentioned earlier, notifications first, physical exchanges after, often applies to these tiers so banks can manage volumes without creating backlogs or security problems. Tier designations are administrative tools used to prioritize and route scheduling resources, and being in Tier 4B does not imply any different legal standing for your holdings. It simply describes the order of notification. If the sequencing is accurate, expect appointment slots to be assigned over multiple days and potentially into the weeks following the initial notification window. That is why it is crucial to organize documentation immediately upon notification. Even if your appointment is scheduled later, having everything ready will prevent delays and reduce stress. Let's be practical about the paperwork and documentation you will likely need. While the specific requirements will be spelled out in official notifications, common items typically include government-issued ID, proof of ownership for the currency, account details for where proceeds should be sent, and any local tax or compliance forms required by your jurisdiction. If a bank asks for additional forms or verifications, do not assume they are scams. Confirm them first through official bank contact channels before handing over sensitive documents. Photocopies, notarized statements, and bank account verification are frequently requested in heavy transactions to prevent fraud and comply with anti-money laundering rules. For people who hold large amounts, some banks may also request additional verification steps or private appointment settings. Prepare all original documents and clean, legible copies in advance. Organize them in a folder with a checklist so you can present everything quickly and accurately when your appointment arrives. Security and fraud prevention will be a major concern during any publicized rollout. High volumes of attention attract scammers who will attempt phone scams, fake appointment links, or phishing emails that mimic official communications. The best defense is verification. If you receive a message, check the contact details against the bank's official website and call the bank directly on numbers you find independently, not on numbers provided in the message. Never share one-time passcodes, online banking credentials, or remote access information with anyone who contacts you unexpectedly. Banks will not ask for passwords or direct access to personal accounts as part of an exchange. If someone pressures you for immediate action, walk away and verify with your bank. Keep in mind that official appointment scheduling will be managed through secure channels and authenticated personnel. When in doubt, Ask for proof of identity from the person calling and request a callback number you can independently verify. What would physical exchanges look like once they begin? Based on the operational model many are describing, exchanges will occur at designated redemption centers and bank branches with trained staff handling in-person appointments. Centers are likely to operate by strict appointment only to control flows, manage security, and ensure compliance with regulatory checks. Some centers may offer extended hours immediately after the notification period to accommodate higher volumes, possibly including weekend slots. Expect ID verification, documentation, review, counting and validation of notes, ledger updates, and an explanation of how funds will be dispersed, whether via bank transfer, check, or another secure method. Banks will likely provide receipts and transaction records. Do not expect cash to be handed over without formal settlement. Large value operations often clear through bank settlement systems before funds appear in external accounts. We should talk about the economic and market consequences in realistic terms. If a revaluation occurs, the immediate headline is change in the official exchange rate, but the broader effects depend on how markets, regulators, and governments coordinate the rollout. Revaluations can affect import, export pricing, inflation expectations, and how foreign reserves are managed. For individual holders, the practical change is in the value of holdings when converted or sold through official channels. For broader markets, revaluation is part technical adjustment and part economic policy. It is usually accompanied by administrative measures to manage liquidity and prevent speculative disruption. Remember that currency value changes are shaped not just by headline announcements but by the pace of implementation, central bank policy, and how quickly liquidity is made available in the banking system. Now, a reality check: there is a lot of noise and misinformation in this space. While operational signs can be meaningful, not every rumor becomes policy. Some updates will be grounded in bank readiness, while others will be wishful thinking or deliberately misleading. It's important to distinguish between operational signals like back-end testing or staff training and formal public policy decisions issued by central banks or governments. Always prioritize direct communications from recognized banking institutions and official government statements over social media speculation. If you are following community intel, treat it as a potential alert to verify, not as proof. Take any claim of instant windfall with skepticism and base financial decisions on documented, verifiable instructions from banks or official regulatory bodies. Given the emotional intensity and high expectations surrounding any notification, managing your own reaction is essential. News like this can create a powerful sense of urgency that leads to poor decisions. Handing over credentials, rushing to unauthorized exchangers, or making promises based on expected proceeds. Practice patience and methodical action. If you receive a notification, breathe, read the message carefully, verify channels, and prepare your documents. Resist the urge to post or share personal details publicly, and avoid financial commitments that rely on funds you do not yet possess. It's fine to be hopeful, but pair hope with careful, deliberate steps to protect yourself legally and financially. Let's examine possible scenarios so you are ready for different outcomes. In a best-case scenario, verified notifications arrive, appointment scheduling works smoothly, and a phased exchange process unfolds without major technical hiccups. Holders receive confirmations and funds are settled through known banking channels. In a moderate outcome, notifications are issued but scheduling bottlenecks or additional verification steps delay exchanges by days or weeks. Holders must be patient and follow formal instructions. In a less favorable scenario, miscommunication, unexpected regulatory hurdles, or political objections delay the process, prompting revised timelines and renewed speculation. Prepare for each case by keeping documentation ready, maintaining contact with reliable advisors, and holding working expectations that timelines can move even after public notifications. If you hold significant amounts, legal and tax considerations are real and immediate. Large transactions can trigger reporting obligations and may have tax implications in your jurisdiction. Consult a qualified tax advisor or attorney before moving forward with any major exchange. Keep meticulous records of transaction receipts, communications, and identification materials. Make sure you understand how proceeds will be reported and taxed locally. If banks offer private or expedited appointments for large holders, request written terms and verify any fees or conditions. Transparency is your friend in these moments. Avoid verbal promises or undocumented side arrangements. How will this affect international partners and neighboring economies? A change in the official rate or a systemic reset is not just a domestic event, it ripples into trade terms, reciprocal banking arrangements, and foreign investment sentiment. Governments and central banks that interact with Iraq will watch settlement processes, liquidity movements, and compliance with international accounting standards closely. If implementation is smooth, it can strengthen confidence and attract measured investment. If it is chaotic, it can create temporary market dislocations. For holders elsewhere, the most immediate concern remains secure, documented exchanges through approved channels. People are asking what signals you can watch right now that are more meaningful than rumors. Focus on official bank communications, authenticated notices, and changes to publicly available schedules or hotline numbers published on bank websites. Verify any new phone numbers or web links through official channels. Watch for scheduled announcements from recognized financial institutions and regulatory authorities. Technical clues like public statements confirming ledger or settlement testing can be encouraging, but they are not substitutes for an official notification to the public. If you see a sudden flood of third-party confirmation posts without supporting documentation, treat them as prompts to verify, not to act immediately. It's worth addressing the political angle because large financial moves often intersect with politics. Political leaders can influence the timing, messaging, and fiscal rationale behind major changes, especially when timelines appear to align with fiscal year cutoffs or treaty obligations. Political engagement can expedite administrative approvals or heighten scrutiny. That's why timelines that revolve around symbolic dates or fiscal deadlines matter. They often reflect a combination of operational readiness and political will. But political involvement does not guarantee a frictionless rollout. It only adds another layer of stakeholders whose coordination must succeed for exchanges to proceed smoothly. Now, a quick checklist for immediate preparation. First, organize your government ID and proof of ownership documents, originals plus clear copies. Second, prepare contact information for your bank and any legal or tax advisors you might consult. Third, use secure methods to back up your communications. Save official emails as PDFs. Print appointment confirmations. Fourth, avoid sharing sensitive codes or credentials with unknown callers. Fifth, make sure you have a verified method for receiving funds, a bank account in your name that can accept wire transfers or other official settlement methods. Having these items ready will make the appointment process far smoother when your notification arrives. What about the role of banks in managing liquidity and settlement? In large operations, banks coordinate with central banks and international settlement platforms to ensure money moves securely and is properly recorded on balance sheets. This behind-the-scenes work involves verifying counterparties, ensuring compliance with anti-money laundering rules, and making certain that settlement entries clear through established systems. That is why some institutions perform extended internal testing before public notifications. They must ensure the ledgers, links, and settlement pathways will handle the volume without error. This is also why banks often stage communication carefully. They want to open the public window only when operational risk is minimized. I want to emphasize the importance of patience and process. The human response to a possible life-changing notification can be overwhelming, but these large system rollouts are rarely instantaneous. Even when notifications go out, scheduling, verification, and settlement take time. because banks must comply with regulations and ensure accurate accounting. Avoid making quick financial decisions based on the expectation of immediate liquidity. Use the notification as a trigger to get organized and to seek the professional advice necessary for large financial moves. Rushing can lead to mistakes that are costly or irreversible. For those tracking the timeline closely, what milestones matter most in the next 72 hours? Officially released notifications are the primary milestone. Secondary milestones include authenticated appointment scheduling pages or hotline numbers published on recognized institution websites, confirmation of staff availability at designated centers, and publicly posted procedures for documentation and settlement. If you see these items appear on official channels, treat them as actionable signals. Until then, focus on preparation rather than speculation. If you are monitoring community channels, keep a separate list of verified items versus unverified chatter so you can make decisions without noise. As we move toward closing, remember that this moment is a test of both systems and personal discipline. If the timelines play out as some reports suggest, the next steps will involve methodical paperwork, patient scheduling, and strict security. For individuals, the most important tools are preparation, verification, and professional advice. Organize your documentation now, verify every communication, and be ready to act calmly when your notification arrives. If you are uncertain about anything, consult with a trusted financial or legal advisor before making decisions. In a high-pressure environment, good counsel and a calm plan are invaluable. This video is informational and not financial advice. The information shared here is designed to help you understand operational mechanics, prepare paperwork, and identify legitimate signals versus speculation. Major financial moves have cascading consequences and can be subject to last-minute changes. Always verify communications through official bank channels and consult qualified professionals for tax or legal questions. If notifications arrive, treat them seriously but verify independently. If no official notices appear, do not act on rumor alone. Prepare, verify, and protect your financial interests. If you found this walkthrough useful, subscribe and hit the bell so you get instant alerts when we post verified updates. We'll be watching official channels and posting clear, step-by-step explanations if notifications are released. If you have questions about documentation, appointment procedures, or verification checks, drop them in the comments and we'll answer in upcoming videos. Our goal here is to keep you informed, safe, and ready to act, not to hype, but to help you move forward with clarity when the time comes. In short, major banks appearing to align behind a narrow notification window is a serious operational signal, but signals are not the same as executed policy. If notifications are released, they will begin a controlled process of scheduling and exchanges that requires careful documentation and verification. Prepare your ID and ownership records, verify all communications through official bank channels, consult professionals for large transactions, and keep a level head through the process. This is a potentially significant moment for many holders, and being prepared is the best way to protect your interests and respond effectively.